Hi everyone, Chris here, and I'm back, as you can see, with the Aerobook from Chuwi. So this started out as an Indiegogo crowd-funded Core M3, so it's completely fanless laptop. It has 8 gigabytes of RAM, and the storage varies from 128 gigabytes right up to 1 terabyte. Now my unit is a pre-release unit. I was in China and Chuwi did give this to me. So a little disclaimer here, but this review is completely my own, like all of my videos, all of my reviews. So on the left-hand side, we've got DC in. We have a USB 3 port that powers external hard drives. And we also do have a Type-C port that will be here, but I cannot show you it because my unit does not have it. Being a pre-release model, that is why it's not there. So all the ones that you'll buy now and all the ones that are shipping out to the Indiegogo backers will have Type-C, so it'll be data charging and video up to 4K 30 Hz. There is mini HDMI out. This is 4K 30 Hz as well, so not the HDMI 2.0 spec that we get, of course, with the Gemini Lake. So the Laptop SE has HDMI 2. You can run 4K 60 Hz, a lot smoother than your desktop. Now the build quality of this machine and the look of it, I really do like. So the build is excellent. And I like the fact they've gone with this darker grey. To me, it just looks more professional, more premium too, because of that. So the lid at the top, this doesn't have a backlit Chuwi logo, as I pointed out in the unboxing. By the way, if you want to see a little bit more about the design, then do check the unboxing video. We do have a Chuwi logo at the very top here, that's it. So it's very minimalistic, the look to it, and I like the fact that we don't have big glowing logos or even a logo down here on the bottom bezel of the display. So it is a 1080p display, IPS, fully laminated, maximum brightness is 380 lux, which is very good. And I will cover in this video later on the color gamut that we can expect on this. So the coverage, the Adobe and the sRGB percent that you're going to get on this. And it actually turns out to be quite good for this type of laptop. So we have a large touchpad, and it is Windows Precision driver controlled, and I've had no issues using it with the about 2 weeks now I've had this particular laptop. Palm rest is plastic, so down here when I touch this, yes, it has a little bit of a lesser premium feel because it is the plastic. I don't mind the fact that they've gone with plastic. They're trying to keep the weight down, which by the way is about 1.27 kilos. It's around about 200 grams lighter than the Laptop SE, even though this is a tiny bit bigger. So they've done well with the weight of this. I think the weight is really quite good. Now the keyboard, again, as I pointed out with the unboxing, it is a nice keyboard to type on. It has 2 levels of back lighting on it, so it's backlit. And when you press down in the middle, you tend to have a little bit more, at least on my pre-release unit here, a little bit more flex than the Laptop SE. But is it an issue? Is it a problem? Definitely not. Under your normal typing pressure, it's not going to cause any bounce and you won't have any flex unless you absolutely hammer away at your keyboard. Then I don't think you're going to notice that at all. So we do have the slim bezels on the side, and it does have this like a metal or plastic, hard plastic lip around, and then the lid of course is made out of alloy. Now this hinge is stiff, it feels good, and for you people that want to, I don't know why this is even a thing, but one-handed openers, no, you can't really open the lid up just one-handed. I don't know why people always keep asking me that for some reason. So there is a webcam up the top here. It's 720p, and here is a sample of it. I think the audio quality is okay. It's not amazing, but for a laptop, I feel it's fine. I feel it's fine there. But the camera quality, yeah, not brilliant. 720p, but it doesn't seem that sharp. Quite blurry too. So you can see from that, yeah, it's nothing amazing, unfortunately, and I kind of expected that. So we do have speakers down in this little lip right here, between the hinge and the display, a lot like the Laptop SE, but they've actually improved the speakers on this particular model, which I feel they just got a little bit more bass to them, a little bit more mids there. They don't seem any louder though than the Laptop SE, but here is a sample. And then finally on the right hand side for ports, another USB 3 port. It will power external hard drives up to 4 terabytes tested. No worries there with that. And then we have a 3.5mm headphone jack. Now this supports microphones and it does have good quality. So it doesn't have any static or no hiss over it. And then a micro SD card reader. Sadly, it is not a fast, high-speed micro SD card reader. You're limited to about 23 megabytes per second reads and writes through that, which is a little bit of a shame. So lastly, with the design, before we get into the actual performance of this laptop, the back of it. Okay, on the bottom, we have an upgradable SSD. So depending on what one you've got, of course, you're gonna have 128 or maybe even 1 terabyte in here. My unit came with 1 terabyte. You expect about 500 to 450, 500 reads and writes there. So the speeds are okay. And it's very easy to replace that. 4 solid feet, and no, there are no fans, there's no vents on it at all because it is passively cooled. And just to mention the cooling, it is very good. So there's no thermal copper heatsink mods required. In fact, I didn't even open it because there's no need for me to do that. It doesn't get hot enough, and this is even with some undervolting and increased power limits that I will show you now. But we'll take a look with some screen capturing, the performance, and just what you can expect from the Aerobook. So I wanted to just point out first that I've done and covered some of this already in the unboxing video, so just quickly go over it. So we have Intel's dual band wireless AC. So yes, it will work on the 5 gigahertz band. And maximum speeds, okay, I have done a benchmark here. I'm getting out of the wireless connection from the studio inside where I am. That's about 3 or 4 rooms away from the router. These are the speeds I'm getting. So out of, for example, the Intel Wireless AC9260 that's in my mini PC, I'm able to push the full speed. That's a gigabit card. So this one's not the fastest wireless card, as you can see here. Now out of FTP router transfer, I was getting about 350, 360 megabits per second. So it's definitely not the fastest card it's got in here, but a lot better than, of course, what we used to have, which was always the Wireless N chipsets. We're stuck with that. And here's our chipset. So it is dated now, of course, the Core M3, the 6Y30. It's not the first Core M3s. If you remember, they were the 5Y10, I think it was, and they're even weaker. So it doesn't have a high turbo. The maximum turbo is 2.2 gigahertz, this CPU. But for basic computing, as you'll see that I'm going to demonstrate in this review, it's actually okay. It's fine for what it is, but I really wish they went with the new one, which is the 8100Y, the Core M3, which is a lot faster. So single core performance, I'm not going to go crazy on benchmarks here. I'm just going to show you just Geekbench 4, okay? Because it's a dated chipset, it is quite weak. So we're getting about 2,500 single core score. Now this is faster than the Sauron N4100. That's the Gemini Lake. That is in the Lapbook SE, for example, and the Lapbook Pro. So single core, which I think is more important probably here than most of the things you're doing with this type of laptop, so light tasks, is important. So it's up about 700 points here. However, the multi-core score down about 600, 700 points compared to the quad core. So this only has 2 cores, 4 threads, this one. And then if we take a look now at the CPU performance, here we can get quite a boost because I've actually undervolted and increased the power limit, so it lets it turbo higher the integrated Intel 515 GPU. So originally stock, this is about 13,000 the score, and now almost 20. So what I did is using Intel's XTU, you have to download an older version. I have undervolted, so I'm just going to show you this now. So I've managed to get on the core. Now results will vary from chipset to chipset. Okay, you can actually increase the power limit really high. It doesn't matter. You're not going to run into any thermal throttling or problems because the copper they've got in this is sufficient enough. So undervolt on the core of 0.08, and then on the graphics, I can even undervolt this to 0.075, and this will give us really maximum performance. The only real shame is the fact that it can't go over 2.2 gigahertz. So it's not exactly a very fast chipset. So those scores are okay considering what it is right there. So that is the end of benchmarks that I will show you. I wanted to show you some real world use. So I've got a couple of demo files here, and I did show this in the unboxing, the Jellyfish one. So this is a 4K file at 60 megabits per second, 10-bit, and you'll see now that the GPU does struggle a bit to decode this. Okay, that's just stupid Windows trying to get me to pay for that codec. But if I open this now with the Media Player Classic, it's going to work. Okay, so you can see it starts up, few stutters, not great performance. You can see it's continually stuttering. Now, if I was to run this on the Core M3 7Y30 or the 8100Y, it'll be super smooth because it's hardware decoding. This is only really just software, so the performance is not very good. It's taxing the CPU. If I bring up the task manager now, and I'll just quickly show you that our CPU will probably be maxed out running this. And yeah, you can see right there that it is. It's really stressing it. So that is the weakness here of having this older chip really with the video format. However, if it's a little bit lower the bit rate, for example, this one here, which is 48 megabits per second, a clip of my own that I took on my Galaxy Note 4, I think it was back in 2014, around this one. And we'll see that, look at that, it's actually performing perfectly fine. It's smooth, I can skip ahead and no problems with that one. So it really depends on the codec, because that is not HEVC. Okay, this one that was recorded on the Galaxy Note 4, as mentioned, is H.264. So it's an older codec and it handles that one at least fine without any problems. Now, this is where this notebook is good. So for light task editing like docs, this is, for example, a doc file I have open here, which is a rather large one, quite a few pages. It's going to edit it just fine, and you can see there's no lag now typing in text. So if I just type in here TechTablets, you can see that that's not going to lag. And no problems with that. Whoops, some very poor typing from me here, one-handed. Okay, and the same goes for Excel spreadsheets. So here I have a spreadsheet open. Good performance for that. So all your office tasks, light tasks, docs, internet is what this real laptop is aimed at. You're not going to be playing Battlefield 5 or anything like that, but you can do some light gaming, which I will show you shortly. I just wanted to point out a couple of things here too with the screen. So it turned out to be a lot better than I expected. Now, normally these kind of laptops, you're not going to get an sRGB of 96% coverage with the display's gamut, the color gamut. So this is good. NTSC turned out to be 71%. Again, very good. And then the Adobe RGB, the most important one really for me, that is too. 74%, not bad. You get a lot of laptops that are double, triple the price of this one, and they'll only be coming out around 60%, 61%, 64%. So, I mean, it's not 100% coverage, of course, it's not 90, but I feel it's okay considering the type of laptop that this one is. And now to test out 4K streaming in YouTube. So this is where it's going to struggle in Chrome, okay? It's something to do with the codec that Chrome's using as well for their video processing here. So I just go over now to 4K demo, find just the first one will do. Now, the reason I'm not editing this is I want you to see the actual performance. I'm not going to go straight jumping cuts to where it's working fine. So it's already on the 4K preset here. I've got that muted, and we'll just go full screen. And I will enable the stats, of course. So stats. And you can see 27 frames have already dropped. It's playing now. And there we go. It will continue to drop frames the whole time. Now, if you use Edge, you won't have this problem, okay? So you stream 4K YouTube in Edge a lot better. Now, the video out on here, it's 4K, but it's only 30 Hertz max, not the 60. Okay, because you need, of course, HDMI 2 for that, which this does not have the hardware. It's not supported anyway with the chipset. So that performance is disappointing. I mean, if that's the newer Core M, that would run completely fine, no problems. So I'm going to go into Google now, and we'll do the Chrome tab opening test that I like to do. Is another way to gauge performance to see how it runs. For those of you who like to open up lots of tabs. So I'm just going to search dogs. Okay, and just bring up whatever is here. So actually, no, I want to keep that inside the same browser here. So open up a lot of tabs, and we'll see how it performs. So far, so good. It doesn't seem to be lagging out too much. You can see those are loading in. Okay, so the Wikipedia, of course, that's going to load in really fast. And the other tabs here. Scrolling speed, still good. So that is good to see. So this, as I mentioned, this laptop's ideal for. So this like on a task. Okay, Netflix, dogs, that happened up as well. These ones here have loaded. So overall, that performance switching between those tabs, as you can see, is very quick. So this is good. So for this is where the single core performance, as you saw with Geekbench 4, means that it does perform faster and feels definitely faster than the Celeron, the N4100 that's in the MacBook Pro and the MacBook SE. This is a lot better there. Okay, and then onto battery life, just to mention that my first battery cycle, a little bit disappointing. So this is mixed use, 30% brightness. The screen then is at about 180 nits, I think it was the brightness. So it's not full brightness. If you're on full brightness, then expect much lower than this, of course, only at 30%. So I got close to, this time, about 5 hours before it powered off. I didn't even have time to take a screenshot of it then. And then the second test I did, the third battery cycle, 6 hours and 12 minutes. So this is light tasks again. This was editing sites, writing articles in WordPress, so some Chrome use, some YouTube, but no gaming. If you game, then you're going to burn through that battery in about 3 hours, I would say. So disappointing battery life. All up, it should be over 7 hours for me, but I've always found the Core M's to be quite poor at that. They're just not good at battery life for some reason. And if I take a look now at my remaining battery, so I'm just charging at the moment. So full charge time, it's now 2 hours, but you're looking at about 2 hours and 40 minutes to fully charge this laptop, which is about the same as the MacBook SE charge time there. Alright, so if you know my channel, you know that my gameplay is absolutely terrible, but that's beside the point here. Let's just have a look at the performance. So we're hovering around 30 frames per second. This is 720p on the lowest settings, so at least we're getting a playable frame rate, and it should stay above the 30, although it just dipped down then. But this is slightly better than the Gemini Lake, which is good. Oops, and I will be dead. Yeah. Okay, on to League of Legends. And I'll show you the settings. So it's on the low setting. That is where I would keep it for this hardware because it is a little bit dated, this architecture. So we're getting most of the time over 60 frames per second. And that's what we want, of course. So very playable. So any games that are old or light engine titles, for example, Counter-Strike and League of Legends that I just showed you, is going to run fine on this hardware. But if you want to play a AAA title, no, that's not going to work. It's going to be completely choppy. It might not even load. So people asking about Fortnite, games like that, I wouldn't even bother. Don't even try it. Not on this hardware. And then to point out the thermals. So yeah, it's only been running for 9 minutes. Sadly, I closed it. It was going for 89 hours. And I had Counter-Strike crash on me and I had to do a reset. So I completely lost those stats. But the highest it got up to, with the gaming for hours, it got up to 75 degrees. It gets warm on the bottom. Now remember, this 75 degrees is with my power limit set way above the stock. So it's using up all the power it wants. If you're not gaming, you will not see the temperatures go over what it is now. About 65 degrees max. So the thermals are actually very good on this machine. No copper heatsink mod required. Okay, so overall, I'll just do a very quick recap on here. We have a very good keyboard that is backlit. We have a very nice design to it. I love the dark gray look now they've gone with. Hopefully they keep with this because it just looks more premium. Touchpad is good. Speakers slightly better than the MacBook SE. They're not amazing high quality speakers, but they are getting better. They just could do with perhaps a little bit more volume to them. So on the retail version, the final version, of course, you're going to have Type-C, which is great. So you can have Type-C charging, data, and video out. The real kind of con of this particular laptop, of course, is so obvious to everyone, really, is the 6x30. So the Core M6x30 is a dated chipset now, and it has a very low maximum turbo, especially for 2019 standard. So 2.2 gigahertz is really limiting it there. Okay, thermal-wise, very good thermals as well. The screen is, I think, a very good screen. I would love to have a matte screen, but it can be solved by just applying one of those anti-glare matte screen protectors over the top. And as long as you don't get any air bubbles underneath it, they tend to actually work out all right. I have done it before in the past. And then, of course, the battery life. Battery life, 5 hours, 6 hours. That is mixed use, office use, Chrome, some YouTube. And when you're, of course, going to be doing even more demanding work than that. So if you're going to be gaming, then it's going to be way less. It's going to be about maybe 4 hours. Now, I think you might be able to stretch it to about 7 hours max. But you're giving up on about 2 hours versus the Gemini Lake version. Well, the Gemini Lake MacBook SE, which is one of my favorite laptops from Chuwi. I'm able to get 8, 8.5, and even sometimes almost 9 hours of runtime, whereas this is falling quite short. Yes, the performance is better than the Gemini Lake, single core, and you do notice that Windows feels faster opening up tabs in Chrome and doing various things, but we don't have the native hardware decoding of VP9 or HEVC codec files. So if you're looking at a lot of videos like that, it taxes the CPU a lot, it runs a little bit slow. You've got VLC player, which will help, but overall, Chuwi, please, I know you're probably going to be watching this video, give us a Core M3 8100Y version. Please work towards doing that, giving us a much better chipset in this laptop, and if you can, a slightly larger battery too to improve the battery life. But overall, It is a very nice machine. So for the Indiegogo backers that are finally taking delivery of this laptop, I think most people are going to be very happy with it. And performance-wise for, of course, your light computing, it's perfectly fine. We just need a more up-to-date chipset in this. Thank you so much for watching this review. And if you want a similar laptop that is cheaper, that has better battery life, not quite as fast, then that is the Lapbook SE right up here. Please do check my review of that. And I hope to see you back in the channel. Bye for now.